Welcome back to another We Ourselves video, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Ahsoka episode number 7, Dreams and Madness. We began on Coruscant. We are here with Hera because she is going to be court-martialed, or this committee is voting on whether to court-martial her or not for disobeying orders, and they're acting like they don't have any proof of what she's saying, and nobody's coming to Hera's defense. Mon Mothma, we're not seeing her used to her full potential. I said in an earlier episode, she should have been the one that behind the scenes was working with Hera and maybe drop Leia's name, but she's the one with Leia that's working behind the scenes to legitimize what Hera's doing and find some funding or whatever so she can go off and do what she has to do. Because you can use this actress and she could have actual scenes with Hera. But instead, we discover when 3PO shows up and he does his cameo, it was nice to see him, but we find out that all this stuff happened outside and off screen. I don't understand why we did not have these sub-arcs going throughout this series. So anyway, we see Ahsoka going through her training montage, and there's a Anakin recording that she used. And I like this because she's finally acknowledged that Anakin was a good master, even though he became what he became. So we see that her shadow work, as I called it, it paid off for her. And so she's in a better space and she's able to integrate those feelings about him. And she was able to integrate that into who she is and not feel any shadow or doubt about the things that he taught her. Hu Yang comes in and says it's thoughtful that Anakin left these recordings, but he's also there to let Ahsoka know that they are slowing down and the whales are apparently coming to the destination. Hu Yang and Ahsoka go to the bridge, and soon thereafter they come out of hyperspace, and immediately Ahsoka can sense that something is going on, and she tells Hu Yang that they need to get out of the whale's mouth. And they're being attacked because in the previous episode, Thrawn told Morgan, if a space whale shows up, you can destroy it with prejudice. So yeah, they make it through the minefield. Look, again, really high energy action. And beautiful shot there. You see Morgan's ship. They send fighters from the ship to chase them. And so they go into the debris field and they hide. And then we come to Thrawn. So Morgan's just giving him the information on Ahsoka after Ahsoka's already arrived and has gone through 2 different action sequences back to back. He has Captain Enoch pull the fighters back and he calls in the Night Sisters, and they're going to, well, not yet, but they're going to, pinpoint where Ahsoka is. They find a hiding place. Hu Yang says he's going to scan the planet for Lady Ren, and that's our cue to go down to the planet. And we see Sabine and Ezra with the pod people, with the mobile homes, and it's like they're out for a Sunday drive. And I know some people have explained Sabine's hesitance to tell Ezra what really happened because she doesn't want to admit what she did and maybe get him angry. I get that, but as it goes on, my irritation with Sabine not giving him vital information that he needs, even partial information, I really started to not like her character as she was written. Nothing against the actress, nothing against her acting ability. I just hated that it was written that way. I can understand the hesitation, but later when you see that time's up and you're still not telling Ezra stuff that he needs, that's when it really started to irritate me with her character once again. So anyway, we go forward. They're having a talk. Again, their interplay, their dynamics between each other is very nice. We cut to Baylan and Shin and the Marauders, which they were able to communicate with and talk with. I don't know how, because they're on a different planet in a different galaxy. And we cut back to Thrawn, and this is where he calls in the Night Sisters to come in and pinpoint Ahsoka. But the way this is edited, it makes it seem like Ahsoka choosing to concentrate at this moment is the reason why the Night Sisters are able to pinpoint her. And Sabine, she feels Ahsoka. But when Ezra asks, Sabine doesn't tell him. And again, that's when my irritation with her went up a notch. So we have the Night Sisters, they pinpoint it. He immediately flushes her out. They fire, they flush out Ahsoka, but she says, it's okay, I know where Sabine is. So anyway, we're back down on the planet. We see that Baylan and Shin has found them, and Sabine sees them. Ezra asks her, are these your friends? Do you know these people? And of course, Sabine says no, and she doesn't tell him anything. Why she isn't telling Ezra at this moment? Because now she realizes that Thrawn was up to something. These two people, one of whom killed Ahsoka, which means that they're not going to be a match for him. And she doesn't warn Ezra at this point. Your little holiday excursion with him is over. It's like I said, I'm really getting irritated with this character because of the way she's doing things and not telling him anything. And then here we have a really good conversation between Shin and Baylan, because Baylan is indicating that he has a different path. And I think that he as a character is disappointed in Shin, because Shin seems to be driven or trying to embrace the dark side, even though he did not train her as a Jedi. They obviously aren't Sith, and he's tried to get her to have more of a balance, but she, because of her ambition, she is leaning heavily more towards being a Sith eventually, or the dark side. And I think that disappoints him, and that's why he tells her that our paths diverge here. Shin reports their location, and then they send the Marauders first, and then her and Baylan they split up. We see the night troopers or stormtroopers getting on the ships, and they're going down. And now the Marauders have caught up with Sabine and Ezra. And basically from this point forward, you have one massive action sequence where you switch between the different points of view. You have Ezra and Sabine. You have Baylan and eventually Ahsoka fighting. You have Shin, who comes down, and she eventually joins this group. And you're also splitting time with Thrawn and Morgan back at the temple. And this is where I really hated the way they wrote this character. When she finds out that the little caravan people don't have any real defensive weapons, she actually yells at Ezra. And she's mad at Ezra for not telling her that they don't have any defensive weapons. And again, I was watching somebody who's a casual viewer. When they got to the point, they were just like me. It's like they actually did not like her character at this moment because she hasn't told Ezra anything. Ahsoka and Huyang literally fly over the location where they need to go. All of this open space around here, Ahsoka could have swooped down and she could have jumped out of the ship there and been at their side within minutes. But instead, she's going to jump down to this location where Baylan is, but it really didn't make any sense for her to drop here instead of down where she needed to be. At least Sabine offered the lightsaber back to Ezra, but Ezra refuses to take it because he's going to use the Force. He doesn't need the lightsaber. At this point, Sabine should have activated the lightsaber and one of her pistols and then been ready. But no, they're going to have her do this thing again where she's going to shoot at people who have armor that's just as tough as her Beskar armor and can withstand blaster bolts. Finally, you have Sabine use the lightsaber, and immediately she's able to start wreaking havoc with these Marauders. We have this moment where Ezra is able to use the Force to block Shin's lightsaber, but Shin is still able to overcome them easily. We come back to the battle with Baylan and Ahsoka. Huyang, who's able to dodge these fighters that are right on his tail the entire time, creates a diversion which allows Ahsoka to get on Baylan's howler and have to still ride off into the distance to get to where she was going. And in their battle, he actually says that she doesn't have this time to waste, and she says she no. Then why did you land right there where he was? Acknowledge that you can't beat him, had no intentions of killing him, you just needed to get past him when you could have just landed right where you needed to be. This episode is messy to me, ultimately. A lot of people feel this is the last time we're going to see Baylan. The actor died. This might be the last time we see him. And this just might be the mysterious end of this character when we don't really know what he was sensing and what his plan was when he went off. I personally think they should recast it and they should keep that storyline going if they have a season 2. The troops arrive. Grand Admiral Thrawn finally notices that Baylan is not there. We come back. Shin has basically bested both Ezra and Sabine. And then the troops are there. And of course, one of the reasons for having Ahsoka stop well outside is so she can have her big entrance. And again, you have this thing where Thrawn says they're wasting time, and that's what he wanted. And he had them well away from his ship. He claims that it all works out for the good because their cargo is finally almost there, and they're going to warp away and leave them all there in this galaxy. They discover that the stormtroopers have been recalled, and Shin has seen that she has truly been left behind. First, Baylan bails on her, and now Thrawn has called back his people, and she's left on her own. Ahsoka tells her to surrender, and she doesn't say anything. She just stares at him. again, because it's such a cold stare, it's not really conveying that much to me. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people are really hyped on her, but you gotta open your mouth. But the one thing that makes Baylan work is Baylan opens his damn mouth and he talks to people outside of Shin. Shin doesn't say anything to anybody. Open your mouth. The staring thing, I've totally got over that after the first 2 episodes. So anyway, she gets on a howler and she rides off into the distance. We don't know where she's going to go because she's been abandoned. We get the reunion between Ahsoka and Ezra. Ahsoka and Sabine isn't telling this child anything, and I really don't know if he understands he's in another galaxy, because I said in the last recording, he seems really nonchalant about how they got there. If he really understands that he's in another galaxy, then he has to have intense questions about how did you get here. There's no way he would let Sabine not tell him. That's one thing about the real Ezra. He's very persistent. He wants answers. He would not just be, okay, whatever. It's like, no, how did you get here? I'm in another galaxy. And it raises an interesting question, because now that they have a ship, they can fly up into space. They can find a space well, and either Ezra or Ahsoka can talk to it and get it to take them back home. They underplayed what Ezra did. They mentioned it, but they really underplayed it so that Ahsoka could have the moment in the sun where she does it. So it's like, okay, which one of you are going to talk to the space whales to get back to your home galaxy? And nobody's really acknowledging it. So that's why I said this one was really hard for me, because there's some nice stuff in there. There's a lot of nice action. Of course, the special effects are good. But story-wise, it's a mess. There's a lot of things that aren't answered. There are things that don't make sense. There's so much lost potential. It could be so much more. And I think that's my final word on it. It can be so much more. And we've had more demonstrated to us in the live action shows. So anyway, you can tell me what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.